All right, let's call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please. Marta, start it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to a meeting of the Stamford Planning Commission. If you have a matter to discuss that is not included on the agenda, you may do so by addressing the chairperson, stating your name and address. Visitors are welcome, and we allow 5 minutes for comments per visitor and 15 minutes per topic. Discussions will be held in a calm and respectful manner. Please note that all meetings are recorded and posted on YouTube. Will there be any adding or removing of items from the agenda? Or any adjustments or changing the order? Okay. PC member present are
Pam Twerg.
Lisa Gramlin,
Marta Miller.
Jim Stinson.
okay, and I think we're just going to skip right to our. Pardon?
Skip Kurt.
Do you have we can do hearing of visitors now,
You want to do it right now?
Or do you want to do them
or do you want to do them? Like, do you have any general comments?
I got a bunch of stuff for you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can scoot home.
Let's move down to discussion first. Yeah.
No, go ahead and do all your stuff.
Okay.
Okay. We're back. Feel like it's been a while because I think we haven't seen you all since the May event. So I think we wanted to do a couple things. Well, first of all, I just picked up the physical surveys. Lori said Lori collected them all and it sounds like Deb counted them, and there are 28 physical responses and 25 online, so that's 53 total, which I think is pretty good for, good response rate.
Kurt said we were going to get 0.
Got 53.
Kurt, did you put in yours?
So we'll do some analysis, but what I'll also do is send you a raw spreadsheet of the raw data, because I know we had a discussion about what happened to the last survey that the town put out in possibly 2011. We're not sure.
Yeah.
We're not sure who had the data there. So I will make sure that we have a spreadsheet of that raw response data, and I'll send that to Lisa, but I'll also send it to Lori too, so that she can have it as a copy in the town record. So years from now that you have that to refer to. But then we'll also do some analysis of it as well, and I think we'll want to come back probably sometime in the fall to just kind of recap the community engagement and pick up on some of the things we want to start talking about tonight.
Oh, Laurie was our clerk then. When we did the last survey.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know, though. I asked her.
She didn't.
Yeah.
She was there.
Yeah, we
She
didn't
was
have
the
any
clerk then.
records at BCRC of the data either, so.
It's lost to time.
Lost.
So that's why before even doing any analysis, I'll just send the raw response data to you all to make sure that you got that. But so tonight, I think we wanted to start the conversation on a number of things. One of them being, well, first I'll just kind of say the 3 kind of large areas we wanted to talk about, and then we can maybe get into it depending on what you most want to talk about. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is doing any kind of follow-up meeting or engagement on natural resources, conservation, and just conservation planning in general, because that was obviously a really big theme that came up in the meeting and walking to our visioning meeting that we had, and just from some of my occasional scans of the online data, that was definitely a top priority for people. But just wondering if there is any interest from the Planning Commission on digging into that a little bit at another Planning Commission meeting in sometime maybe in August, whether it would be having a guest speaker from a conservation related organization come in and talk about best practices for conservation planning in your town plan and potentially bylaws as well, or if it's if you wanted to maybe invite appetite, interest in, doing some additional, discussion, about that, either in a public meeting forum or having a guest speaker come.
Are there actionable, pretty much feel like we all agree that conservation is important, and I think we all agree that water and land management and wetlands and all of that, but beyond that, is there something actionable that someone can come here and describe for us? Because otherwise, I feel like we're just preaching to the converted.
Yeah, except, we brought up multiple times water. And so water is obviously a critical resource that we know that we have to protect. Well, how do you protect water? Likely, probably with zoning. And how are you going to look at different zoning areas in town if you don't know where the water is?
So is there a person who knows that besides Kurt?
That would, you'd have to pay, I would imagine, for a professional opinion to say the water's there or there. I can tell you generally where it is.
Well,
Tier 3 identified a good chunk of it when you look at the maps.
Yeah.
Basically what it was all about.
right, so we did see that.
But so has Tier 3 been eliminated?
I saw water resources up
Just don't
off
know
of
where they
East
want.
Road that I've never seen before. These
Where?
most recent, up off of East Road,
So I knew that.
that I've never seen before.
I knew that was a source, but it's not a source if you think the whole community as a whole, because most of that flows right to the river right there and goes downstream. So it's not accessible from that side of the stream to this side. But there's always been water up there on that whole range. It's ledge, poured out. Where all there are also ring-fed houses on that road. It used to feed the whole golf course at one time.
Okay, so are our zoning districts, do they consider water resources? I feel like they don't.
Not necessarily. So the hairy part with all that is that who's the professional that declares all this stuff in-house, right? Without hiring someone at a major expense, who's gonna sit here and say, I'm the professional that's gonna let you know that the water is here and, zone around that.
That should
We
be
have
yours.
We have the Regional Planning Commission to help us.
They can offer maps and things of that nature, but is it a free of charge? If there's a professional gonna come in and survey our water? Probably highly unlikely.
If you wanted to have a professional water resources person come in, a consultant who has a special focus in that area beyond our planning expertise, then probably yes, you would have to pay for that. But we do have a number of there are a number of statewide tools. There's a natural resources atlas. Looking at Samantha to make sure I get the name right. She's more familiar with it than me. And so there's that tool at the state level, the natural resources atlas, which is, I believe is a mapping tool looking at different natural resources. And there's the Biofinder tool, which is also a mapping-based tool that the state has with state data that they collect, but then could also be supplemented by community knowledge if there's something that's not on the state maps that is important in Stamford. So I wonder if the conversation it seems maybe there's more interest in diving into this in the context of your land use regulations or bylaws. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems maybe there's interest in really digging into that topic as you get working into that, in which case, you could don't necessarily have to have another meeting or conversation about it right now at this stage if you don't feel ready or feel like it'd be valuable, if it's something you want to revisit, at a future point when you're, at a different point in working under bylaws. I just know there's a lot of general discussion about it at the May 30th event. And we were just wondering if you wanted to dig into that a little bit deeper with specific action items or, policies, other than some of the, general topics that were raised. And just kind of wanted to see if there was any interest on your part in exploring this topic further at another meeting. But No, I think this is really gonna be an issue that we wanna like identify and, dig into the specifics of natural resource protection and water resource in particular protection in Stamford when you're doing your bylaws that maybe we don't.
I mean, you want to be part of writing the plan though? Wouldn't we need to know that ahead?
Yeah.
Kurt?
Yeah, so as much as everyone hates Act 250, when that came about, it had language in there for elevation and slope. So to the best of my knowledge, that whole range over there is protected by slope, which is greater than 25%. And the water that would come up, probably northwest of where Steps property is, out of there is protected by elevation. As you get farther up into Stamford, like the northwestern corner of Stamford, pushing towards Woodford.
But what
But it doesn't
about,
hurt to look into it.
and what about the center of town in the Clayton Ave area?
So hydrology is a funny thing that people are just starting to understand. So you may dig in one spot and be fine, you may dig in another and strike a lot of veins, and it affects water elsewhere. It's hard to say where all that flow is without some kind of professional assessments of it all.
I just feel like we need a plan because eventually the town is gonna need water.
Sure.
At some point, the town's gonna need water.
Well, we can start by stop draining off all the wetlands that we have in town.
Right.
Stop filling in the wetlands, stop elevating houses in wetlands.
Yeah.
That would be a major start. I mean, there's hardly any water in the river right now. Just rained quite a bit the other day. It's a trickle. We're running out of groundwater. There's a thing called the hyperhaic exchange. Surface water, groundwater, river water are all one and the same. They beg, borrow, and steal from each other constantly, right? So when you start mucking around in the wetlands and stuff, you're definitely affecting flow. And it may seem like a small thing if you just do it in your yard, but if everybody's doing it, it has a cumulative effect, and yeah, we're drying out big time. The
Who's
way
been
we're drying
messing
out.
with the wetlands? I'm curious. Here in town, who's been messing with the wetlands?
Well, people do all the time. People culvert them off. That's a conditional use permit. That's never gotten by anybody. People fill them in. They drain their yards. I mean, it's happening all over the place. I don't have a specific case, but there's been
Well-
houses built in the corridor in the last 5 years.
We have, I remember being at a meeting and there was an argument over whether houses should be able to be built in the river corridor, and it was stated that the town of Stamford took the path of least resistance, and it's totally, completely fine to just mound up a thing and,
No.
No,
That
you
diverts
can't.
water.
you
You
can't.
put ice in a cup of water.
well, I'm just
Well,
telling you,
it's-
that's
it's
what was
not-
said at the meeting.
It's not the town. The state allows it. And yeah, we had a very lengthy discussion about before any septic permits are issued, the engineers should be looking at regulations. And we've got a big old X in river corridors. You can't build. You can put a septic system in there, but I can't give a permit. CBA should not be giving a permit. The state should not be giving a permit. We are mapped, period. You don't go by the rest of the flood hazard, the Roman numerals in that section. You don't even look beyond, Stanford's mapped. Ignore the rest.
Yeah.
You go by.
I mean,
Yeah,
theoretically speaking.
But yeah, the engineers are not looking at that. So you've got people who are out just getting permits, thinking they can build, and you can't.
So the state at that point would probably need to force somebody into listening to it. I mean, case study in point right now, just look out west. They're in a lot of trouble. And you don't think it's gonna happen here, bullshit. They're all gonna come this way. Where do you think they're gonna live? Right, it's already happening now with this population. We're running out of water. That's it. I mean, we can push this stuff down the line as long as we want, but that fact will remain. So,
I ran out of water the last 2 years.
yeah, it's dry.
It's never happened before. 2 years.
Yeah, it's drier than it's ever been.
But
You can't
Stephanie
even
said
swim in
it
the
hot.
river anymore.
All right, so would we be
She
interested?
dug a pond,
Yeah,
and that affected your water?
I don't know that.
So the Conservation Commission, they've been looking at the water resources. I don't know to what extent, or how far they've gone with it.
That's been going on for a few years. Like when we were on it, it was still the topic. I don't think it's progressing much.
Light a fire, maybe anybody gets on that.
I'm not doing that. Not touching that one.
I mean, it would be a viable task for an
Is that something we want BCRC to maybe provide us with a speaker of some sort?
I
I mean,
would love to learn more about
If it
that.
would help us, definitely, if it would help us, you know, as Pam is saying, if it would help us in terms of, I mean, both the town plan and the bylaws to just have a clearer,
Bylaws lead the town plan leads bylaws. So
Exactly.
So starting, yeah.
exactly.
It's kind of the reason why I invited the person from the
Right.
state last.
Yeah, she was good.
Right,
She was
and
good.
she was awesome, and I'm glad we did that, because now they have a permanent group. Back last year, they had temps constantly. So now they have a core group, core director, and everything is good to go. But again, that will tell you, from one part of a river to 100 feet above, the river corridor could be different. So going forward, I mean, if anybody's anywhere near the river, we're gonna have them come down and evaluate it and look before she could sign off on it, or anybody else.
Well, I go by the maps, but say the river's moved.
Right.
If the river's moved, then I would go.
Yeah.
But I look at the map, and, you know, like this place on the lane.
Oh.
They have in the description, build your dream home. I called the realtor and I said, you better be very careful what you put out for the public. You
It says
cannot-
that on the
Oh, yeah,
ad?
build your dream home.
Can that be enforced somehow now that it's going through an exchange?
What do you mean?
The house is gonna be sold to somebody else.
Oh,
It's
you
an
mean-
illegal, it's an illegal structure.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything about
And
that.
they can sell the
that
structure as it
particular
is.
thing, But they can't build anything. So if they take that thing away and they say, I wanna build my home here, a house, even though it's got a septic design.
There's only like, I don't even think they have the distance from the road, if you had the river corridor in the back and the road frontage.
It's got
like-
about 20 feet
Yes.
from the
It's-
side of
it's-
the road.
If it's existing, there's nothing to do. You can't build any more on it. It's non-compliant.
And is there this communication that you're describing, or lack of communication from engineers looking at something, and then, you know, people think they have a permit, and then, is there some way to like establish a line of communication
Maybe talk
when
with the
someone,
See, they're looking at
Yeah.
the state regulations, and the state regulations say 50 feet from the bank. So they go in 50 feet, and that's a state regulation, but individual municipalities can be more restrictive than that, like we are. So our little grid we have there, you cannot build in the river corridor, whereas somewhere else you might be able to.
I mean, it doesn't seem ethical that the builders
No, it's
that they
not.
know that.
It's not, it is not. And that's the conversation we had with the river.
Yes.
Mhm.
Is it Jessica?
Jessica.
So you did find that discussion valuable with her? Okay.
So what do you think that you could offer us
Yeah,
based
listen.
on our concerns?
Yeah, thank you for, thank you for articulating that, Pam. Cause I think that meeting that you had with the person, Jessica, from the Rivers program is kind of, what got us thinking about maybe if that went well and if you had value, it's like thinking about doing something, similar on a natural resources topic, and it sounds like water resources is kind of, from what I'm hearing, seems to be like the big issue that, you're concerned about in terms of larger natural resource conservation. And so, just trying to drill down on seems like water resource protection is of, concern, as well as like wetlands.
Yes.
And so if we were able to identify somebody, at the state, most likely, any thoughts on okay.
I'm sure someone from a state or even like a natural resources advocacy group in the state would be able to.
Yeah, you can get back to us.
Yeah, we'll do some research and ask them.
Might be an idea just to contact Jessica. She's probably got the.
Yeah.
Like the next person for.
Right,
Or
right.
Rebecca Chalmers.
So her boss is the director of the whole different agencies under him. So
Well, it
That's
is
the one you're
important.
supposed
I
to
mean,
call.
it's the same, you can make the same argument for, overshadowing and everything.
Right.
Yes.
You have, yes, we want more homes, that's how we survive. Taxes, that's it.
Yeah, but
What you build up there is affecting like your home or a lot of the other properties in the valley. Sure, you get, we had to dig 600 feet. But 600 feet might be taking away from you.
right.
Exactly, so I'm just saying, we're up there almost 1,900 feet, but 600 down maybe. So you don't know, so you have all these lots and if you start building and building.
there is a limited
Right.
resource. And so the town needs to manage the situation if they care about the long-term, wellness of everyone in the town.
That exists now.
Which is obviously why you're planning. I mean, I looked at those maps at our last meeting and I was just like, okay, so explain to me why the zoning is the same right here where we're sitting as it is at the top of.
Because everything was trying to be put into a square box,
Well,
right?
Right.
You didn't want
that's
to
just,
step on anyone's toes up there because you had the right to do this down here.
yeah, but
Yeah.
You tried to minimize all that. And in order to do it right, you would really have a whole bunch of circles.
I think there was a lack of
The town
understanding
would be laid
too.
out completely different, and we gave back a bunch of roads that would be very helpful.
so,
Gave back.
yeah, they gave them back to the
To-
residents.
Yeah, we got one.
So, for example, there was a road that used to go from Fort Jet all the way up to Acadia, right? Like right through back behind the sawmill. That's higher out of the river elevation, right? But we gave that road back, so now you would need a whole series of private roads to access that.
Wow.
No, it basically, it runs up through the sand bank and all through there.
Yeah.
But basically that bridge that's elevated up and out of the river, all that should have been capped. At least access to it at some point.
But
There's other roads in town.
But the point is, again, there's always the push and pull between property rights, ownership rights, and zoning. But you have to try to make some attempt, if you're trying to protect the water resources, to adjust the zoning, like, hey, if there was gonna be I can think of multiple places in town where it might be totally fine to have a development, but then most of the town, it is not totally fine, and
So just look
you
at a
want
map.
large lots.
Just look at a map, look at an elevation map, watch where water runs off. And you'll see the spots that would be better from a selfish standpoint. We don't care what the water's like in Williamstown or Powell or anywhere else. Then there's places, but it doesn't make any sense because it's so disconnected from what's already existing. Right, so in a lot of ways the town is just laid out. So for example, Whiskey Ranch Road. It would take a lot of money to get in there for infrastructure, but all the water goes the other direction. So it wouldn't really affect anything down this valley. The Shore Road runs off to the Parksburg State Park, doesn't come into the valley. The high end of it does, it comes into Roaring Brook, comes out into the valley.
I mean, that's
A lot
not
of runoff goes that way,
specialized.
but they're just not reasonable places to have large amounts of development, unless you're gonna have like a second center of town. But just, in this strip I mentioned, that whole elevation, that's just higher, it's on the same elevation as East Road back there. Basically, if that just continued all the way north through town, it's just not gonna happen now. Well, if you have to take private road development.
Who
that's
owns
how
it
you develop the land out of a flood zone. A lot of different people own it. It's just, it goes the whole length. I don't know what the elevation is, but it's like 1,300 feet or something. Another 200 feet up out of the valley. But you're just not gonna lay it like that, it's already laid out.
So I think we'll put our heads together and we can also reach out to Jessica as well and see if she has any recommendations, but also put our heads together on some potential people that might be helpful for you to have at your meeting start the conversation on tonight, which we aren't expecting a decision on, is about, like structuring the town plan based on, the priorities that you have identified and that, we have from the public input, which, I haven't fully delved into like the surveys and stuff, so I don't have the complete picture of what, and obviously we didn't reach every single resident in Stamford, although it would have been nice. Well, maybe we did through the mail and they just didn't all return for surveys, but, thinking about how you want the structure of the plan to, kind of reflect the priorities of the town. And also, it's, I know you're working on your bylaws. In the midst of working on them right now? Okay. And I know it seems like you have a lot potentially that you might want to do with your bylaws, and so I think that's why it's important to have the conceptual discussions now, and then, anything that you want, to be actualized in your bylaws should have, strong policy statements in the town plan. So things related to the protection of water resources and, any natural resources, just, this applies to all elements of the plan, but, going off of, your concerns about water resources, like there should be, some clear policy statements on, the town, on the protection of, water resources and whatnot that then can be put into action through your land use regulations. And so to that end, I just wanted to, I printed out the table of contents for your current town plan right now, and I've got some copies for all of you just to start thinking about. Just my notes on it.
Thank you.
Callie, if you still have that, June 8th agenda, Jessica's name, contact information on that. If you still have the agenda that we had for June 8th.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it has Jessica's
Yeah.
information. Okay, I can find it online, and also I know my coworker Dara was there that
Yep.
night
Yeah.
too, so she's got her information
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, so basically this is your current table of contents as it currently stands, and we really just wanted to get you all to start thinking about if you want to use the town plan update that we're doing right now, or about to really embark on the meat of it as an opportunity to restructure the town plan as it currently exists. There's a lot of ways you can structure it. Municipalities do it all sorts of different ways. Some just do it in the order that like do chapters according to the required statutory element of the municipal plan and do it in the order that it's listed in statute. Some do like thematic groupings, like where they have, a section that's around a specific theme, and then they've got like sub-chapters within that. I'm not quite sure how this structure, your current town plan came about, because it doesn't quite, like, it doesn't go in like the order of
Either way.
statute or anything, so I'm not sure how this came about. I think Jim Sullivan might have been the primary person from BCRC working with you all to update the town plan, so.
Most of it came from the town plan before that.
Okay. So you might just yeah. So
Yeah.
so the structure and of course the content, but just looking at the structure to start with, it can be modified based on your priorities and based on the community's priorities. So like for example, you could move up the natural,
Yeah.
scenic, and historic resources. That could be the first thing after the introduction, rather than having it be economic development. I thought that was kind of interesting that it started with economic
It's just willy-nilly.
development as the first like content-based chapter, because not that it's not important, but it seems like in all of the conversations we've had that natural resources has emerged as the most important.
The village center district was a hot topic at the time, so I mean, it's been generated some.
Maybe, okay, yeah.
But it is all over the place.
I guess I don't advocate the idea that, we should just go along and just copy whatever's always been done. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna do it, you should look at it and you should say, okay, whatever is not the way we want it, we should fix it.
A lot of it is the same, but yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah, I mean, I think we decided, we thought that, since we're already gonna be taking a look at the document, it might be, a good idea to consider changing the structure if you want to. You don't have to. It can stay.
No, this is too willy-nilly.
It can stay in this structure if you
I like the idea of thematic myself, like putting like land use, which is near natural scenic resources here, but like putting like the land stuff together, the people stuff together. To me, that would
Yes,
flow
agreed.
better.
Yeah, and sometimes like with some of the towns we've done that for, we've like kind of finalized the thematic grouping based on like people's input. But yeah, I think that's becoming like something more common. We've seen where towns want to kind of organize things thematically and group certain.
It
like,
makes sense
topics
if you're reading it.
together.
If you're talking about land, you want to kind of keep reading about land. You don't want to skip to
Right,
economic
right,
and then
yeah.
go back.
Yeah. So again, we're not expecting you to have a decision tonight that like, here is the outline that is finalized and ready, but I think we just wanted to start it now so that when we come back to you in a couple of months, to, give a, kind of summarize the, engagement results, survey results and everything, and start like, talking about the drafting process, that you will have had some time to think about the structure as well, because I think that's, typically when we start the process of, actually like going through and working on the draft and working on the document, it's helpful to have a sense of the structure.
Yeah.
And so just giving this to you now and putting the thought in your head to start maybe thinking about how you might want to structure the new plan going forward. And also something while we're, to think about as well is how you want to structure the responsibility of us as BCRC versus you all. We've done it a couple of ways with a couple of municipalities, where some municipalities like that we worked with recently have specifically asked us to like write the narrative or the content of the chapter, if you will. That's a lot of like data describing current conditions and data trends and that sort of thing, and then leaving placeholder for the Planning Commission to draft policy statements or the list of actions, goals, policies that typically come at the end of a chapter. And so we've done that recently, and sometimes we've done it before where we've drafted something like fully complete with suggested policy language and action items and goals for them to then respond to and make their own changes and that sort of thing. So I think just really, again, we don't have to have an answer about this tonight either, is how you envision our role versus yours in the drafting process and what you want that to look like.
So I feel like what we want, obviously Stamford is a very independent town, very independent people. So just the mere mention of you just writing it for us and, asking us what we think is probably not going to sit well with anyone. That being said, obviously, we would like to take advantage of any help that you would be able to provide us to make this, less cumbersome on the board.
I would agree, it would probably take 2 meetings to go through one chapter.
Right, so we do, I feel like we do need help if we want to come up with the best finished product. But the best finished product is one that is going to have Stamford residents' fingers all over it.
Yeah.
And to be our own and to reflect the values of the community.
153 of them.
Well,
It's better
But
than
I
two.
appreciate the
It's
expertise.
better than one, Kurt.
Yeah,
I do appreciate the expertise BCRC can bring with like crunching the
Yes.
numbers and the language for presenting data. I'm not an expert in writing language like that, so.
And looking at the legal, at the laws.
Yes, we need
Yes,
that, absolutely.
Yeah, because
yes.
I think a lot of the chapters are, describing describing current conditions in the town, describing like data trends, like population demographics.
Right. It is what it is.
Economic development, mapping resources, and that sort of thing. And then typically, and I think your plan does this as well, that at the end of each chapter is the list of like policies, goals, and action items. And And so again, what we just did with the town that we're finishing up a project with, Old Bennington, Village of Old Bennington, is like we wrote the narrative, like the content of the chapters, and then left like placeholder at the end for them to add in the policies, action items, goals, and
So maybe something that's like that, except that we also can fiddle around with
Right.
whatever you've done in terms of narrative, you know, so it's not just like,
It's not
this
set
is
in
set in stone, and now is our space.
And it's not for them either, like,
Uh-huh.
we drafted and then now we're in the middle of the editing process with them too. But I
Yeah.
agree that even that model might not be quite the right fit for Stanford, and so maybe there's a way where we kind of put the data and sort of legal information in bullet points, and then some combination of planning commission members put it into narrative, or something like we can figure out, or like maybe you can spend time at a future meeting talking about what the right combination is. And of course, at the end of the day, it's always your document, and so it's really yours to decide what's.
And I think like that's why we want to start the conversation now, because again, when we come back in a couple of months and we'll do like a brief presentation about the engagement results and sort of the analysis of the themes. I imagine we'll probably see a lot about natural resources, but
Yeah.
There might be some other things in there that are surprising, because we got a good amount of survey responses, I think more than some people expected, so there might be some interesting insights from members of the public in there as well. But then at that time, we'll want to revisit this conversation about the structure and the, kind of drafting responsibility.
So in a couple months, you think?
Yeah, I would say maybe
September?
like September maybe.
That's,
Curious
we have to wait till September. I'm chomping at the bit to
I
get the
know.
results. I really want to see these results.
Okay,
Draft results.
you're gonna share the raw.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna share the raw data, the survey and everything, like hopefully within the next few days.
Okay.
But
I am dying to see it too.
once I take a look at it, once I like input the paper surveys that
Are you gonna have to
look
sit
at.
and
Yeah, but it won't. It doesn't take that long.
keep
I've
taking
done
the
it
survey
other
over and
times.
over?
And then so I will give, and then I'll export that into a spreadsheet, and so I'll share that within the next few days. So you'll have that at your disposal to take a look at, very shortly. But we'll want to do like a little bit more like analysis into the data, and just kind of present on some of the like themes that have come up and kind of set the stage for the drafting. So we kind of want to plant the seed now on a couple of things, and then come back in early end of August, early September, and then we might also be back in August with the guest speaker at one of your meetings. So you will still be seeing a lot of us.
Here's how some people were understanding the natural resource question, because preservation of natural resources is much different than extraction of
Oh,
natural
yes.
resources. I'm just curious.
Well, we're gonna find out.
And I mean, I think, as this is as the responses are being compiled and analyzed and all of that, I think it would be good for us to actually dive into this, what this, even before too much bylaw stuff, so that we know how to then
Look at it.
look at it
Yeah.
and
I agree.
talk about it all.
And also like other considerations, if you feel strongly about like maps and images and stuff. Right now, your maps are just integrated throughout the plan. Some plans of other municipalities have them all at the end in one place for referral. I just like looking through some of your refreshing myself on your current town plan earlier today. A number of the maps at least seem kind of like low resolution on the document itself, so
Yeah.
they're a little bit hard. Like that's an
Yes.
easy fix. Like we'll make
Oh,
updated
good.
maps that have hopefully a clear resolution.
That's a sketch.
But just
It's genetic.
things like that if you like the way the maps are in the text right now or not.
I do.
And
talking
you
about
don't-
zoning, you
Yeah.
kind of want people to be
You wanna
able
be
to
able to
see
see
what,
it.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
No one's gonna
And-
wanna flip to the back.
You know, maybe you don't feel strongly about that, and maybe you do. So, but it's just good to kind of be thinking about these things now, like the placement of maps and
That seems like a no-brainer.
photos. If you really, some towns have had feelings of photos and like whether or not to include them. I was just talking
Maybe we
to.
get a picture book.
I mean, you've got some nice like photos covered throughout your current town plan. I think they're really nice. Like, a lot of them are like scenic pictures of Stamford. And again, maybe that's something you don't care about. But I was just talking to our coworker Nick earlier today, and we're doing a project with Arlington, and they were like, no photos. This is
Really?
just straight up like we don't want any like embellishments or like we just want like.
I think we're embellishers.
I mean, they're still early in the process, so they might change their mind. But like they had feelings about it, but
No-
you may not be
Now,
like.
who's
you're
gonna
like,
wanna
I don't
look at
care
it like
about photos.
that?
Yeah.
I can't picture them picking it up.
That's what I want to know.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You can caption under the pictures. So take that.
Yeah,
I
this
think ours
cap-
was
ours
like
has
cut and paste from
captions.
the one before.
What's that?
I think the last town plan, I think, was cut and paste from
Most of it.
the town plan before.
No, let's not do that.
No, I'm just saying,
Most of it was.
And you
Most
have
of it
some
was.
those really cool historical photos.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, I was thinking about that. That might be good to put in.
Slideshow.
People
We
would
might
like
be
to
able
see
to get
that.
some more historical photos. We have lots.
I
Yeah,
thought,
I mean, I felt like this slideshow was really,
that was cool.
a really like
Yeah.
wonderful part of our
like,
visioning.
Yeah.
It's a binding, it's a binding.
Yeah, postcards and that.
Yes.
Postcards.
Well, that's where a lot of those, that slideshow that we had running out here that day, a lot of those are postcards. And
Okay, cool.
so like, I have a bunch of postcards and I know the town has
And that's
a
just
bunch
something
of
we cobbled
postcards.
together from you and Kurt like a couple
Yeah.
days before, so.
There's a whole mess of
Yeah.
historical stuff.
So again, it's like these are things, that to think about. Some of them you may care about more than others, or you may all be in consensus. You don't need to spend much time on, like, yes, we all agree how we want maps to be treated and what have you. But it's just it's helpful to talk about these things now
Yep.
to kind of
Mhm.
smooth out the, the drafting process
Mhm.
going forward, and so that like we know as much ahead of time what you want from us, so that we can give you what you want.
I think we just need to communicate because you're working on these other towns, and so you clearly have an idea of what different town plans and different processes look like.
Mhm.
So if we work together, we should be able to get a nice seamless, process together to come up with something that's really good.
Mhm.
What was the third topic?
I think that was actually all of it, because
I thought you had three.
The drafting question, I think.
it was separate from the,
Oh.
yeah, it was the third topic. Yeah, they just flowed right into each other, yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna think about potential speakers to come as a resource for you at one of your August meetings. Is there a preference for, like, if you already have something scheduled for either August meeting that one would work for a guest speaker? Okay.
I do have some questions when you're done.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, so the regional plan, is that still open for public comment?
The first hearing public hearing is on Thursday.
Okay,
It's hybrid. If you want to come in person, it's up in Rupert,
Yeah,
which is
Rupert.
like the furthest away from you.
I was gonna let everyone,
I know, we try to move our meetings
Stanford,
around the region though,
Stanford.
to be fair. Yeah, we should. I don't think
Rupert won't come.
we did a meeting in Pownell and our Rupert rep came, so
so just so everyone knows, there is a BCRC meeting on Thursday.
What
But
time
you,
is it?
5, start at 6, it says
It starts at
5:30,
6,
but
yeah, 5:30 is a social
Social
like
part.
dinner part.
So there is a
Yeah.
link on the BCRC site.
Yeah.
See you there, Aldi.
Yeah, come if you want free food. I'm making a cake. I'm making a special now.
I also want to know about, so the watershed, is that person also speaking on the 16th?
Yeah, it's like a basin plan.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
what's,
and then
that'll be part of that meeting.
on that Thursday?
And that's also open for public?
There's a basin plan.
Won't be there, I'm gonna suffer.
You can Zoom it at night.
I'm in a meeting. I'll
Oh.
leave the recording.
If he
Oh, right,
signs up for the
to-
Zoom, will that give him a recording of the meeting?
We don't have a sign up like it's a webinar, but we do record and we do post it.
Yeah.
We post the recording to our website after,
So he can go in and watch it
Actually,
after.
Yeah.
I already read the speech.
Do you have, if you have comments, I bet you can submit them.
Is there, are they taking public comments on that too?
I'm
On
not sure.
basin?
I can ask our colleague Jim. I haven't been,
It looked like there was comments, I didn't know when it closed.
I actually posed a couple questions to Fremont National Forest up when they're deforesting the area up by Roaring Brook and Cardinal Brook watersheds, but I never got an answer.
okay, I'll ask about the public comments on the basin.
Thanks.
Because I sit right back there.
Okay, thanks.
So I was curious, those are like class 1 streams, high grade streams. I forget my exact question that I asked them, but something to the effect of what was the, what happened to the stream after operation,
Oh,
basically. What is the
What do they
conditions?
call them?
Still holding
High
those
class?
conditions. What's that?
What do you call the streams?
Class 1.
They're like high rated streams,
Yeah, they come,
high classification, good for rare and, obscures biota, basically. Rare plants and stuff grow up in there. I was just curious whether they do that or what the conditions might be now after operations,
nothing, huh?
but I never got it. But that was all in the basin plan, at least the classifications of those streams.
What's the date of this BCRP?
Thursday,
Thursday.
this Thursday.
This Thursday.
Thursday.
5:30. Dinner.
Thursday,
6
dinner.
6
6
o'clock.
is the
We got
business
dinner,
portion.
5:30.
Yeah.
So if you want
You
the
can't-
free
you could
food,
snack-
5:30.
You can
but-
snack
what I-
virtually
that's
for
what I
half an hour.
Yeah.
make our own food.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just, I think if people are doing presentations, the screen share should show up on the recording, but it's just gonna be audio because our meeting owl that we use, the camera's busted.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bummer, because that's like a really expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
But the audio.
So we'll know we're not wrong when we just
Yeah,
hear
but the
it.
audio will be recorded, and I think like anyone who's giving a presentation will do, the screen share will
Yeah,
show up on the recording, but there won't be like, you won't really like be able to see anybody in the room.
They should do a video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're probably just gonna have to get like a new camera to separately have to go with the audio now, because audio works fine. It's just the lens got really damaged recently, and the image looks like weirdly like kaleidoscopic funhouse.
Like our
Very
maps.
fun.
So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I feel like you guys should be able to buy a new system. I mean,
It's on my list to research getting a new piece of equipment, but.
Can I ask PCR for a grant?
But yeah, so that'll be Thursday, 5:30 starts this dinner and social portion, at 6 o'clock is the business
Yeah.
portion. And the info, the Zoom information and the agenda and the like public hearing notice and everything are already posted on our website, on the meetings page of the BCRC website, so that is all there.
They're typically an hour and a half meetings.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, but, and it depends on how many comments people have on either the tactical basin plan or the regional plan, but they're typically like an hour to 90 minutes.
And just so you guys know, I did write to Callie and Sam, and they do not dictate our, village, rural, those outlines. So,
We do, right?
and the wetland maps are not done yet.
So when I mentioned that before, I was told by members here, I think, that it was already set and it can't go any further that way or that way. And
You talk about the village?
Yeah.
that's the village center.
oh, that's what I'm
Right.
talking about.
I think you guys put out like a sample map or something a while back. No?
The village center, yeah, now that's mapped in the regional plan, and I think I came like spring of last year to talk about it, and then I remember each time I was kind of back and forth because there was a question about moving the boundary to include the
Town garage.
garage,
yeah.
and then we decided ultimately to just keep the boundaries the way they are. I think that if there
just wondering what the benefits or, I mean, I had mentioned it once before and it didn't go over too well with various people, but I don't know why. And I just want, it's not like I want the boundaries changed, but why does it not make sense to have the center starting from the bridge on the north end to the state line on the south end? Just the center of the road.
But why is it too expensive?
Not a
I
center.
guess I would like to,
Where's the center and the whole thing?
but I guess you think of,
That's
you
not the
think
whole
of
town.
the center as being, you know, that is the center,
Well, not
really.
by any
Well,
aspect.
I think it
Well,
has to do
agriculture.
with grants, and it would open up too much ability for almost the whole town to
But
have
who
grants.
said that though?
I think the state does dictate. I mean, we had to, I think.
We had to fight to get.
We had to fight to get what we got. I do remember that, yeah.
That doesn't make any,
No, it
It's
so,
doesn't.
wait,
it makes
so,
total sense.
wait,
I thought it
wait.
was our,
The process has just changed, so I think that's why there's a little bit of confusion. Because the process used to be exactly what you're describing, where the town sort of went forward with a request for the center.
right,
And then this, like, I think the state board had a meeting about it and decided what the appropriate.
to let the towns
boundary
decide,
was.
correct?
Well, so originally, even up to like a year ago, the state body was still saying like yes or no to the boundary.
Right,
And so I think that's probably where you would have gotten feedback to keep it like very restricted.
right.
Now the process is that we map it in the regional map and then like through conversations with municipalities, and that when our regional plan is adopted, that's the boundary of the center. And so hopefully it will give the towns more room to sort of expand the centers. But I think there's still some oversight from the state about sort of the criteria
Mhm.
for each center, and they are generally in favor of kind of keeping them focused on areas that they consider to be more walkable, and so that might also be a constraint on going all the way to the southern border of the town.
So, one of the original thoughts, too, and I don't even know if this is still a thing, but outside of the village district, there was then another circle of like a quarter mile or a half a mile that was called the developmental zone. So the farther you expand the village center, the farther you expand that development.
So that's the way they were talking, the old version, the way that I read it from the state. That's the old version where you had a center village and then you had the outer circle. And I think there was even a larger circle too, like.
And then you have public sewer and water because you can't.
Well, I think that was the whole purpose of it all. But, and then, I thought it might have been Jim Sullivan, because I had seen him in Bennington. He had mentioned something recently, like, it was in the wintertime. But he had mentioned something of that effect, where now we designate where our boundaries are. That's why I was always confused as to why I got shut up. I mean, every time I brought it up a couple of times, it was like, oh no, it's already set.
Yeah, so.
But
the-
why?
Well, it is a recent change, just in like the last year and a half.
Right.
So, I think, I guess I came last spring and we talked about it, and then I didn't get any formal comments requesting for a southern expansion. I know we had that exchange about the northwestern expansion, and that again was sort of a walkability issue, I think, where the state still has some oversight, and they don't want villages just sort of like expanding to pull in like one specific area, especially if there aren't plans to develop the road connecting to the garage, I think is another big piece of it. So they want to see that the contiguous village center is an area that Stamford wants to see sort of as like a residential, mixed-use, civic center of the village. And so that was sort of the
you have that
Not
much? I didn't know you had an acre and a half.
Yeah, but
It was accurate.
But that's it.
I feel
We're
like,
not- we're not-
we need more discussion on this.
Yeah.
I'm not, this doesn't, it's not really making a lot of sense to me.
This decision that was made by, it was kind of, in my opinion, now, I'm not trying to be a bully or anything like that, but it was made, boom, done. And it was like when I started to understand the reason, when I tried to understand where the town would prosper in the long run, wouldn't it make sense to have the bridge, the whole center of Stamford? It's not the whole town.
The only way you're gonna prosper
It's
is,
a half a mile, right?
I mean, it's still the same zoning, so nothing changes. The only way you prosper is that one person.
Exactly,
One or
but
two
you-
people might get to use a grant. But it would make more sense to expand all that.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, so when you think about it, if you're thinking about walkability and development, it really makes more sense, for instance, if you were talking about this center right here, it makes more sense to develop, for instance, around, above the firehouse, you know, in between Mill and Jepson, in that area. So it makes more sense to be there than it does down by my house.
Yeah, there's no businesses down there. The golf course would make sense to put it there, not the land, but the structure. It's walkable into the village now. The historic village, from everything I've ever seen or read, is from the lane to the bridge. That was it. That's the village. I didn't even want to go as far as Belmont. I'll just
when
stick
you,
there right now. I think it's
but but when you're talking about this, what does history play into this? In that, if you're talking about planning for the future,
the whole idea
what
of the
does the
village center
history have to
district
do
is to
with it?
preserve history. Was the whole concept.
Is that
One
what
of
the
the whole
village?
concepts behind it.
This is a philosophical debate in the state of Vermont right
Yeah,
now.
it is.
It
Yeah.
really is, and I don't mean to make light of it. It's this question of, is it a future planning or is it recognizing a historic center is a tension. I mean,
It's
yes.
actually okay if it's either, if you just state what it is, but that's where my confusion is.
Most
I
of the
don't,
grant money goes to
I don't
historic preservation.
understand what it is, the goal of this is, and what it's trying to accomplish.
To have downtowns look like, kind of like Bennington does in certain aspects, where you have the 200-year-old building that the dentist works on, right? Or the next building is an old structure that the butcher works on. It's preservation of historic buildings in the downtown center.
Well, without knowing
But
which
is
one
it?
it is, it's hard to really draw the
It's-
boundary.
Right.
As a
I think
Yeah, so why is Belmont?
It's
Right,
historic.
correct,
Yeah.
right,
Because
correct.
it's a business and they might use grants. I mean, I
Yeah, but see that,
the historic
see,
store is right here.
I mean, I was here when I was here at those meetings
Yes.
when we were discussing it going down to Belmont's, and why we were talking about it going to Belmont's is not at all. It was all about, oh, they're a business and oh, they might need grants. But now you're sitting here telling me it's about preserving the historic
That was
structures
always
and the
been my
historic.
argument. I didn't want to go as far as Belmont's.
I
We
think
cut out the bridge. We don't want to go as far.
But
as
but
the
you
bridge
see,
goes left.
Kurt, I don't understand why.
Because in my mind's eye, it depletes the whole reason for a village center.
Callie?
It's
But-
from the
but,
state
you
line
see,
to the
we
bridge
have-
is almost a mile and a half.
We have
Callie.
bylaws, right? And our bylaws, we can write our bylaws to create our laws for downtown in our village center.
I get it, but
It
defeats the
opens
whole
up
purpose
the
of
village
it.
center idea, or for the state designation, it opens up us for possible grants throughout. Now, God forbid, but at some point, Pam's not gonna be around, and maybe her family may wanna sell all of that property down there,
Yeah.
right? And so, to preserve, maybe,
The grants aren't for home construction, they're for preservation.
Kurt,
I think
all
Callie,
you need to do is explain to me why you're dead set against
let's let
doing
Callie
this.
speak for a
Too
minute.
far,
Huh?
too wide of an expanse.
Let's
Plus,
let's
it's
hear what
completely
Callie has to
different
say.
Land usages, it's more agricultural than that.
Callie,
This place.
Callie?
I don't
think anything that I'm gonna say is like so important, but to me, I kind of see it as like the village center is trying to have the best of both worlds, with both looking forward and preserving what is there. And it's often about kind of acknowledging the historic center of civic life in a community and using that as the focal point for future growth, and identifying that limited, area where a community might want, some development to happen that is appropriate for their community, but it's centered on what has been a historic.
See, the word development right there is what scares me.
So most of
Yeah.
it's wet.
Exactly, because
Mostly wet,
how do you
right?
preserve and develop? Like, you're either preserving a historic, because, we don't have businesses. So what we have is basically residencies, and church, and a couple of churches, and so on. So there's no butcher shop in the top of,
You'd be encouraging development in an area that's probably 60% wet.
Mm.
From the
Right.
lane stuff, it's probably at least 60%.
And I don't, when I say development, I don't mean like that this necessarily, that like this opens the door for, massive levels of development. Your land use regulations are still in place, whether, if you do a village center or not. I think, again, it's about kind of acknowledging that, this, area where we're sitting right now has kind of historically been the center of civic life, and that this is where the majority of mixed uses exist in town. There aren't that many of them, sure, but there are some mixed uses right here where you've got the school and the municipal building, you've got a church, you've got, the like creamery, donut.
But nothing to the southern border.
Yeah, and then you've got the country store, and you've got some residences too. So this is where most of the mixed uses happen already in Stamford, and that the village center mapping acknowledges that, so that, you can kind of, again, I'm trying not to use the word like preserve and develop, because
I guess I'll just say, I think this is a really good conversation
Yeah.
to be having as you're in the middle of a town plan update, because the same way that the natural resource planning informs your bylaws, like this conversation and a sort of high level discussion about like where these boundaries should go, this is a really good time to have that and to start really trying to answer these questions. And the village center boundaries, like that can be changed, and I think having clear planning policies in your town plan and in your bylaws will be the directive to really enforce those changes, like for the village center boundary. And
Right.
so, and like the regional plan is in the process of being adopted, but we can make an amendment if Stamford wants to change the center boundaries. Like there are avenues for changing that, and I don't think this conversation should be rushed, because these are the big questions to try to
Right.
And we also have, we just had a similar discussion with another community, and we pulled together, there's a state resource that kind of describes the designations, like village center, and sort of how they work in the new structure and what the, benefits are, and how they interact with, land use.
What was that resource?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
We'll send you a link to
Okay,
the
yeah.
state planning manual. And then there's also a specific page that I think addresses
So
some of
the
your.
they in this conversation is the state,
Yeah.
so it's a no.
Yeah. I one way or the other, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, why wouldn't you, and what is the benefits? I guess that's a discussion we need to have again, because,
Historically,
Makes
it
no
makes more
sense.
sense to go east-west expansion, not north-south. Farther up Mill it's just historically more compact, more mixed use.
But you keep going back to, we keep circling around to looking at these zoning districts again.
Right, so we're in the midst of doing the bylaws too, so we're gonna need to know, for our village center bylaws, we'll have specific topic, we'll have
Well, the village center's not gonna be a separate section in the bylaw as of now.
it will be, I mean, why wouldn't it be?
It's not a
Why
section.
would it?
It's just part of the residential.
It's not its own section.
I mean, you could, I'm sure you could add it as a section.
But the designation of village center, at some point, we may end up having to write some bylaws for it, I'm just saying.
Possibly. I think we
We'd have
brought
to
that
make
up
it-
last time around.
Yeah, we'd have to make it its own section, which we didn't, last time we talked about it, we didn't.
No, we didn't, I know we didn't
Last time we talked about it a couple of meetings ago, we decided it didn't behoove us to really add that, but
We
we
lost a
can
little
talk
bit
about
of money because we weren't willing to change something.
it. Right.
You could get, you know, I won't get into it tonight, but you could get into certain things in the village where you could change the language and have absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Yeah,
It's-
I think it was, we were considering having it be 1 acre.
Right.
Then
Have it be what?
1 acre
Have a
designation.
minimum of 1 acre.
Right.
Which failed.
Yeah.
Right.
It would
Or you, I
really-
mean, you could drop road frontage. There around the business.
That was another one Jim Sullivan was trying to get us to do at the time.
There's lots in the village here that are less than an acre. Less than a half acre.
Anything else?
No, they're like, we're never coming back to see you guys. Seriously, that was so long.
Thank you very much.
But you're very respectful. We will follow up again with the raw survey data in the spreadsheet,
I
the
will
planning
make sure.
annual resource from the state that talks about village center destinations. And once we have some more information about a potential speaker, in August. And then probably also want to come to maybe your first September planning
Okay,
commission
yeah.
meeting. But we can all confirm to do the, discussion and then kind of continue the discussion about structure and drafting.
And so we'll talk about this in the meantime.
Yeah, so take some time to, think about what works best for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice drive back.
We'll get some, like,
Right?
oh, I don't know, I think the ice cream, maybe the ice cream
Oh,
stand.
it's always the
I
ice
think I
cream
checked, I checked Facebook, I was like, it's open until 8. So, that
Right.
was a life-changing donut that I had the morning. I was like texting, I was like, this is the best donut I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
It takes 15 minutes to get.
Oh, mine was really
Right.
quick, she gave it to me in like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Kurt, what you got for us?
Oh, you want to do that now?
Oh,
Yes.
Talk to
You're
you.
gonna get it, so I gotta get rid of it. So, right after COVID, this young couple started showing up at every planning board meeting, and they started coming out to select board meetings. For the last 5 years, they've been feeding me all kinds of
Is that
stuff.
Jim and Deb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
not here this evening.
I'm sure you guys got some of your articles, but probably nothing to the extent of
Not
this.
like
My
that.
pile's not that big.
So, this is all useful information, and I kind of broke it down into categories. This is just randomness. This is old articles and stuff at Stanford, historically, contextually, precedents. There's a lot of precedents in there. This is the one I was gonna give to Natalie, she's not here. So, I kind of broke them down basically on ways I thought might be interesting, but you guys can change them around, you can throw them out, store them, do whatever you want. Here's a bunch of old bylaws for you. I put a little title on the front, usually do a statement, you get that. Wilderness and geology is for you. Just wilderness, roads, you get Harry Potter. That's very
How come Karen
educational.
is so much thicker than?
You'll learn a lot out of that. If you haven't read about Harry at all, you're gonna enjoy that. Give it to Deb next.
I'll take it.
Or really.
I'll take it,
Whoever
because I
wants
own,
it. So it's just loaded.
I own
It's
a bunch
chock
of
full
this.
of
crap.
historical details. Like I said, a lot of precedents in there, like old articles from the 80s and 90s from Stanford where this or that happened. Just different references to different things, mostly around land use management. There's water stuff in there. There's articles about stone walls.
This is
Well,
good
the-
because,
the
you
top
know,
years is about Vermont as an independent state.
Yeah.
what is it? What did you say?
Vermont was an independent state, was a republic of Vermont for a long time, even after the revolution.
Uh-huh.
It had their own, like, whole set of government. So, yeah, back Carl Steele, read it, don't read
Yeah,
it.
I
I just didn't know what else to do with them on my house, and I hated to just have it sit there because a lot of it, at one time I read this all, I haven't read it all recently. I wouldn't say I agree with all of it, but all of it is like insight.
It's information.
Very, very
Thanks,
interesting
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm in the process
Thank
of
you.
taking,
Thank God.
is this stuff to keep after? Because I'm putting together, Deb Bree asked me to put it all in a binder to kind of share, so can I have all this when we're
You can
done
have
with it?
all. It's all worthy of keeping. I kept everything out of it that I wanted for
All
myself.
right, so if,
Some of it is
so when we're
doubles.
done with it, I'll put it in a binder.
Some of this is
Great.
personal to them.
That was an article pulled out of.
You know, this is
Oh, it might
like
be
a
in the
copy
mix.
of
That's
your
something they gave me.
home and
Oh, there you go.
stuff, yeah.
It's just in there with Rose, but nothing overly personal.
No, no,
Um,
no.
Yeah, it's just stuff that they've been giving me. They gave me another pamphlet the other day, so got into that one.
Yeah,
But it's all good stuff, and I did read it all at one time.
I feel like a lot of this stuff should be scanned in.
I've just been kind of going through a lot of different organizational stuff. I just didn't want to throw it in.
yeah, if we put it, I'll put it in the maybe binders
The
plural.
Harry Patton stuff was
They've
probably the
probably-
most intriguing one. I've read through that.
They've probably got more information on Harry Patton than Harry Patton's family.
Yes.
There's a lot of
It
stuff
helps
in
you
here.
understand a lot of what happened with Stanford and why certain things were done in Stanford and why certain bylaws were written.
Yeah,
Because of
interesting.
fear, I mean, you instill the fear at a certain time to a lot of people around here.
Mhm.
And certain things were done because of it. But there's a lot of his land still out there, Lashire Road mainly. You know, where you got 150 feet of road frontage and you got 25 acres deep. There's a lot of it all over town.
It's also when you see the way some of the things have
I
changed.
couldn't read it anymore.
It's helpful because, you know, when people say, oh, that's the way it's always been, actually, no, it's
A lot
different.
of the articles are dated. That's very interesting because there was a whole survey in a town plan in the late 80s, and they were going to come up. Their maps are in there too. The little maps of those 25-acre lots and all that are in your campus.
Mm-hmm.
And it just lost. It lost at a special town meeting, December of 1989. Just kind of went away. We just reported back to the bylaws that were in place at the time.
Huh.
There was a lot of conversation about it, and that was right after, you know, everything that was going on as far as me. And so they kind of meshed together.
3 years after I moved here. Moved here in 86.
They wanted, I mean, there was articles in the transcript and everything else. I'm not sure who got what, but it's all out there, different articles
Cool.
that Stanford actually needs to be reported on.
This is when they reclassified County Road, Risky Ridge, and Klondike as class 4.
So there's precedent in
86.
one of the road ones.
What was it before?
They were town roads that were plowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Sparrow Drive was a private road that had to become a town road.
Yeah, it did in November 29th, 1984.
A lot of it's dated stuff, but there it is, you got it
Wow.
right there, so they had
I
to,
wish they had dates.
some places,
Some of it has to be.
some aspects of the select board just said, yeah, go ahead, road commissioner
Yeah.
on the road, and then it said precedent, that was, well, okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So this is still some of the stuff we dabble in now.
There was 15 members of Stamford Town at that meeting.
Yeah.
How many?
15.
I actually recognize a few of them, Urban Calls in there, Ellie probably recognized you more than me, sitting in the stand right there. Maybe. It's like
You
Bernadette
can't
Ollie
see,
right there.
Put your glasses on.
They're all old timers from the 80s. They were old in the 80s.
All right, well, everybody look that over, maybe bring it back and we can rotate them or something.
Yeah, I mean, switch them out with whoever you think.
Yeah.
Someone wants to take Natalie's, this one is just mismatched. There's a whole bunch of different stuff.
All right, I think she probably has her hands full.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the reading and approval of minutes, please.
Make a motion to accept.
Second. Oh, I wasn't here, sorry.
Oh, I can do that, I'm not writing them.
Deb, the second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Aldi.
Sitting on the toilet.
Okay, old business. I have our attendance policy. I'm just gonna pass it around to be signed. Okay, so I wanted to revisit the wetlands. We had wondered if the governor, et cetera, had the governor's executive order had made it 25 instead of 50 for the buffer, but it's still 50.
It's still 50, and I spoke with Rebecca Chalmers, and my specific question was, if it does get reduced to 25, can we as a town override that? And she said, that's a really good question. Because it is a state law, and my argument was, well, we can be more restrictive. But when it comes to certain things,
Wow.
we may not be able to. So that's a question for the VLCT or our town attorney. So I guess we should kind of table that until
Okay.
a decision is made.
Right.
She doesn't have the answer.
Did I read correctly somewhere that it only applies to like 3% of the state? And highly developmental zones, you're talking about the wetlands buffer?
Yeah,
So just
being
take this
25
out,
feet.
I think it only applies to a small portion of the state and it's phased out, like it expires in 2030. That's the way I read it.
Yes.
I am vehemently opposed to reducing the buffer
I am
from
too,
50 feet
Yeah,
to 25
Kurt's right.
feet,
but I don't
because
think it
now
applies
all
to
of a
the
sudden,
state, so Stanford,
what?
nothing to do with Stanford.
So,
What do you mean, yeah, why do you think it doesn't have to do with
Because
Stanford?
the governor tried to put it in place to encourage development in highly developmental areas that have sewer and water, and it's only gonna apply to like 3% of the state. That's the way I read it.
it's not, I didn't read it that way, but good, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I reread it for sure, but, and that's the way I understood it.
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
That's
um,
good, because that was nerve wracking
Yes.
when I read that.
And
That's
as
the way I understood it, that's why he's so upset that
yeah.
But because, as you know,
they.
it was 50 feet, which is what, half or a third of what Massachusetts is, right? Isn't the buffer in Massachusetts 100 or 150 feet?
Not sure.
So ours is 50, and he wants to drop that down to 25, basically just so they can build housing in places
Unless
that
you're
they
a
didn't.
corporation like Walmart, you
Yeah.
get to move the wetlands.
I mean, double check me, but I think that, I mean, that's,
I am opposed to,
Yeah.
well, it just sets the door open to do it for the rest of the state.
right,
Right.
and it's just
Javelin.
this all out, I mean, I understand that they wanna build housing, and I completely understand why they wanna build housing, but
You can't
I mean,
estimate the
what does
wetlands.
that, yeah, I
There's
just
ways
think
to
that,
build housing, but everyone's just gotta get out of their mind, and it's probably impossible that everyone is gonna live in 2 acres in a 1-story house or whatever. That's not the housing that's gonna have to happen. More like they're doing in Boston, right, when they use the long lines of condos and layer. It's not,
Well, not
everyone gets their own house, and this individual lot, it's just not enough room for any of that.
well, yeah, but we.
Speaking
Vermont
of that,
is-
though, I did ask him about the housing targets, and they're targets, they're not mandates for us right now.
Yet.
And so Stamford, it's 14 to 23 units by 2030, which is not that far away from now. And then it's 66 to 130 by 2050, which I just think that's crazy.
It doesn't even,
Insane.
it does not matter, because the only way it matters, because they're not gonna put a gun to anyone's head to force them to build. The only way it matters is if the state or the feds, or the state and the feds together, make massive, money available to get developers to actually want to come in.
Taxes.
Well, from Stanford's point of view, I mean, if the state's willing to come down and and supply us with sewer and water, pay 100% of it, I'm sure there's all kinds of condo developers that would just love to build up through here.
Yeah,
And they would explode, but you don't have
100%.
that, we don't have that.
yes.
We're protected. in
So I'm
this
not,
area.
I mean, I'm not concerned about these targets, I mean, or,
But even
I
if you
am.
have public water, you're still drawing from everybody else's water.
Sure.
It's not like this infinite supply, just because you have sewer and water.
That would just make developers of big complexes, you know, they could do that in one bill, right? 14 families, there you go. But they would, it just gives them the selling point. They
Well,
don't actually care if
I
the place runs
understand
out of
that,
water.
but if,
Right,
Yeah.
it's not infinite.
yeah, with its,
I think we just need to keep our eye too on the regional plan that was being talked about, because those, I believe those housing goals are in their regional plan. And there's still time for us to give input on that before it's finalized, which is why I asked her
Yeah.
if she was
I
here.
agree with that, and that's, the other thing is, we don't have, the state, our, building lots are 2 acres right now. If we keep them at 2 acres, we don't change anything, they can't.
okay,
they-
so that is where it is not out of the question that the state could mandate that we can't have, that we cannot restrict zoning to 2 acres. It's just like us saying, well, we're not gonna have any 4 families because we don't want any 4 families in town. Right?
Yeah.
Correct, you cannot do that. So that is where the state's desire to get more housing, where it does become potentially something where they could say, yeah, no, you can't say that you're not going to do anything under 2
Well,
acres.
as the law is written right now, Pam, is that the state laws, they can put any laws in effect whatsoever, but we can always be stronger, ours can be stronger,
yes,
stricter.
in certain
But-
instances, like we couldn't come in and say, no ADUs. We are,
Oh, no, that's a state law.
well,
That's a
But
different thing.
they will,
that's what we're saying.
they can come along and change it if they decide to.
Right.
Will they do that?
That was my question on the buffers.
Unlikely.
Wetland.
Right.
Well, the talk is that they would allow 2 units per lot. That
ADUs.
was what I was told, but they can't be, like an
It's a
ADU has to be
percentage of the
within the
size.
same building lot, right?
Yeah.
They're saying if you have the property, like if you have enough property to put 2 or 3 use,
But you have to have enough septic
Yeah,
for
you would-
those
you would have
additional
to have-
units, so if you
Right.
start popping in more ADUs,
and
you
we're
then
back
have to
the-
have more septic.
We're also back to the discussion that I think is more important. If you're going to do that, you have to make the parcels so that they can be carved out as
Yeah.
separate units. So there has to be,
well, we got,
each one has to be a 2 acre with enough setback, so if need be.
Just be careful, the state isn't matriculating you towards, okay, now you guys need sewer and water. Right? They're gonna always try to push that envelope to everyone.
well, that's what they're getting at.
100%. I mean,
And they just gradually change policies here and there, and they just keep pushing you down the line, and they're like, oh, well, you put 14 new units, and so.
We keep everything at 2 acres.
at the end of the day,
2 acres, you're gonna.
Right.
we're the town,
Yeah.
the town, the people in the town want a certain thing. And if the people in the town do not want more building, then the zoning laws are gonna represent what
Right.
people desire,
Right.
and it is not,
Pushback, right? Just like all these articles about, Vermont being an independent state, there was a lot of conversation a few years back about Stamford being
Yes,
independent.
yes. I agree with
Independent of
that.
Vermont, so, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
well,
till
again,
they force it on it.
I just think that our job is to look at what the town wants
Yeah.
and make policy and rules that reflect that. And I'm not focused on what the state wants.
It's good to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And Steph, I think Steph's gonna get in with the regional plan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question, actually, if I had been thinking of that, we could have asked them while we were here, which we could ask them on Thursday at the meeting. But what does, if they put in their regional plan that Stamford has this target, what does that mean? What does that mean? And does Stamford have any ability to say, yeah, that's
Yes.
ridiculous,
I mean,
that's
right
not
now,
at
it's
all
just a
what-
target,
it's not-
it's like a suggestion, right now. But the thing to keep an eye on is when it stops being a suggestion and it becomes a mandate, that's what concerns me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
mean,
we-
because the language is already getting there in black and white.
I mean,
You know what
let's not forget, let's not forget that we fought with them to keep a windmill from being within 0.6 miles of existing homes. And so what did the commission do? They took 0.6 and they changed it to 0.3.
Which is something else I think I would like to talk about at some point, because before this regional plan goes through and they make it the 0.5, we've already got the Hoosick Range not mentioned now, that language taken out, but the 0.5 is still there, and that concerns me.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've been wanting to bring up now that you mention it.
It should be
25 what?
25 miles.
Well, I mean,
We at least want to keep the kilometer.
Flat out be banned.
Right,
Yeah.
but minimum we should keep our kilometer that we had.
Back out.
then the kilometer's not good enough. 0.6
I know,
miles
but-
is not good
no.
enough. A mile and a half,
It's
see,
a-
that's
it's
the
half a
problem, that's what
kilometer.
it should be, a mile
It's
and a
half a
half.
kilometer, which maybe is
Which is-
0.6 miles, I don't know.
No, a kilometer is
Three
0.6 miles.
Right,
So
but
now,
they're working in
Nobody should
kilometers.
be
Now-
down
I think I was within a
our
mile.
terms and
Right.
just metrics. We don't.
You would have been hearing
But the
it.
bare minimum, I just say we should probably talk about fighting to
Wouldn't have seen
keep
it.
the
I don't
kilometer,
think I've
at
ever-
least.
Yes.
I don't want it to go to.
I was
half a
within a
kilometer.
mile.
absolutely,
Just
which I brought
there.
up at that meeting, and they were just like, oh, well,
I
Right,
know.
so,
I think it's something we really need to like drill down on before I didn't get an answer from them when it was finalized. I know it's by the end of 26, so.
You mean the distance?
The regional plan,
Regional plan for
yeah. their regional plan, where it would be final draft approved, it's into 26, so,
But you're talking about the distance for window,
yeah, which is in there.
because
which
they,
we would have to abide by.
Right, so I think we
Yes.
need to step on it with that.
What-
Windmills are just a way to burn money.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not efficient.
They do.
They're nothing for making energy and for preserving the environment.
At least not the way they're doing it.
all right, well, we're not even gonna go there. The
Yeah.
point is, our mission is to keep them from putting them so close to existing homes.
So maybe we need to actually draft up a letter, you know, and go through like we did before to the select board, the conservation commission. To get the
I mean-
Hoosick language removed.
They know that we are opposed to that. It's been brought up.
But I think we
Yes.
need to put it in writing.
Yeah, you're probably right.
When is the plan going to be adopted again?
I don't know, I know by the end of 26, so I didn't want to assume
Soon.
too many things.
Yeah, so this is the
That's
first,
good.
did she say this is the first meeting on Thursday?
I don't know if it's the first one, but on Thursday we have the opportunity to have input, so I'm not sure how it's
But
going to
are
go.
they even going to be discussed?
I don't know, I have no idea. I feel like we should get something in writing anyway. that we-
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so
I'll
how
listen
do-
to it, I won't go to the. select board
So
meeting.
how do we-
I'll listen.
So how do we do
Yeah,
that?
I'll be listening to it.
How do we get something in writing? Can we?
Let me figure it out.
Okay.
I'll go to the meeting on I'll be zooming on the meeting on Thursday, you
I will
know.
Zoom. Been mental problems.
I don't know how we got in
Can't
that
watch
position,
it.
but I'm glad. Right, yeah, I know, right.
You'll
All right,
hear. Just one year.
okay, that's all I have, unless we wanted to
I
work on
had
bylaws.
just one other, I had little tasks to do. We were asking about the bylaw grant.
Right.
It is due September first, but they haven't released it yet, so Nick is looking at it carefully. He knows we are interested in the Bylaw grant. For his help, he will help us with it.
Oh, good, okay.
We need help.
Do we know when we have to apply?
Well, that's just it.
November- It
It's
is,
September first.
but the deadline is like November 10th or something, I don't have it
I don't
exactly.
think the applications are
deadline.
not available until September
Is
1st.
that what it was?
Yeah, but
Okay.
then there's a
Yeah.
deadline, I have it.
Because that's what they said last time, so it was either 1st or 15th, something like that.
Well, I saw September first. I thought that.
All right, so that's what it was then.
Okay.
That's when they're available, and November is the deadline for submission.
Yeah, I just don't
November,
have it in front of
October.
me.
If September 1st is when you could first get it, if it's October, that's a
So
pretty
now
quick
you're right,
turnaround.
I think it's November 10th, but don't quote me. So we have some
Well, in
time.
any case, he will help us write the
Great. Okay, so it's not Callie this time.
grant. Nope, it's Nick.
Hmm.
He's the bylaw guy.
Good.
Will
He
he be,
seems-
will he be reaching out to you when that's available?
Yeah.
Okay,
He said he'd be okay.
thank you, Deb. Anything else?
And so that's what are we gonna hold off and wait to see if we get the grant for that before we tackle the bylaws again?
I think
That's
we,
what I would suggest.
So I think we need to get on this.
Focus on
I
that,
agree.
yeah.
Let's start talking about, I mean, even if we just riff a little bit about like, I mean, maybe it's just obvious if we go through and say what the order should be, the
yeah,
clustering of this.
clusters, right?
Unless,
Whenever we start
unless
something,
you got something that,
No,
Is it
no,
emergency that we need to-
I really haven't, no, with bylaws, I hate saying them every time, so I'll refrain. I do though, I spend an awful lot of time chasing notice of buildings that do not, notice of building permit, which is just a filing fee. So I think we kind of got away from the original intent of a building permit. This is a statewide issue too. But if you're going to put a full-on front porch on your house, and it's less than 300 square feet, it should be a building permit.
absolutely,
And it's not right now.
It's not?
Why?
No.
Why is
Notice
it
of
not?
building.
it's an addition.
It's a notice of building. It gets filed, but they don't have to pay. Yes, it's an addition. It gets filed with the town, but it's a
Who
$15.
says that?
That's how it's been since the last bylaws when all this was changed.
Nowhere in our bylaw, that's in addition to an existing floor
It
plan.
isn't existing. It is an addition, but it's just a notice of building.
Well, who determined that? You?
Yep.
You're the one that can.
Yeah, so
That's not,
well, if somebody just puts a little thing over their house, just to keep the rain when they step out of their house.
Like a
according to
portico.
our built bylaws, that is a extension of the
It's an extension, but do you charge them $300?
building permit.
A building.
absolutely.
That's what, I believe that's what got Aaron involved in this whole thing. Is he went to put on some dinky little thing above the door and it turned into this whole huge ordeal. Oh, I thought it was the ice cream. No, this was before the ice cream. Okay. Well,
There was some conversation about different prices for different things, but,
I mean, so you don't wanna rail people and you don't,
But it's your
But at the same
bylaws are your
time-
bylaws, period.
I mean, at the same time, if you're going out and if the town is paying you, or they should be paying you, then there should be some fee to allow you to do your job, just to have somebody file stuff. I mean, it all costs money.
Didn't you say it was $15?
So I guess that covers somebody walking over and putting it in a thing, I guess.
No,
No,
it
that's
doesn't
an
cover
addition.
someone's time. That doesn't cover.
You've changed the footprint of the house, that is an addition.
If they change the footprint, then what if they put a dormer on their house?
It's a footprint. You changed the footprint. You raised it.
No, it's not the footprint. No, it's not a footprint.
Footprint is.
It's the footprint.
is
So-
the footprint.
Yeah.
I mean, like when the Landrys did theirs, yes. they
A dormer is a change, period. It's a permit. I mean, no, it's just.
Any architectural change. should
Exactly.
probably-
Read. I mean,
Okay, but,
So what about interior structural
Nothing.
changes?
Can't do nothing.
Nothing with
that
that,
is
just
a good example.
Exterior.
So the little teeny thing that
Mhm.
goes above the door compared to a big dormer.
Right.
Are you saying the little
Same
teeny
price.
thing, same thing? So you want somebody to pay $300
See,
to
and
Yeah.
I
build
don't,
some
I
dinky ass little thing above their door?
Right.
Oh, that's, so I can see where that's heavy-handed. Like,
I
can't
don't
we,
do it, I don't do that.
can't we,
You don't have the right to change the law or to change the pricing. Only the select board does. And you're changing the bylaws as you go, which you don't have the right to do either.
But it's my interpretation of the bylaws, a little thing over.
So you
somebody's-
have to enforce the bylaws literally. In fact, I think that's the first sentence of your bylaws, for your,
But it's
that's for-
subject to my interpretation.
it is not subject to an interpretation, it's the law. I rest my case.
I mean, that's the police officer if you come out, and I mean, I hear you.
No, the law is the law,
I mean,
period,
I hear
right?
you.
And so you cannot, the first lesson of doing her job, or what I was doing there, the first paragraph, the first sentence, that you will enforce the laws literally. You do not have the right in this job, you cannot, there is no, okay, well, we'll make an exception here.
What if the
Can't.
bylaws are wonky and willy-nilly and kind of,
Bylaws are, the
Yeah, I mean,
bylaws are
how do
there.
we-
If they're willy-nilly and stuff, she needs to come back here where we change it, send it off to the select
think
board for
that's what we
change.
I think
That's
that's
what
what
we're
I
doing.
think that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Trying to fix
Yeah.
them, make them not wonky and willy-nilly.
All right, so next meeting, we're gonna, everybody maybe look over the table of contents and see what makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through?
Oh, we could go through it. Sure.
Yeah, let's take a stab.
Okay.
Let's take a quick stab.
Yeah,
Let's take
I'm
a,
sorry, I wasn't trying to rush
draft.
anybody. I'm just kidding, guys.
oh, ice cream, is that the motive?
No,
Okay.
No, I'm not getting ice cream.
What is that thing she gave you?
It's a table of contents from the town plan.
Do you want a copy of it?
I have my town plan, you want it, so you can give input?
We're just happy you're here.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
Good.
I envisioned that to be the same old picture with the new frame, but you guys chop away at it.
well, I mean, just right off the bat, the thing that you responded to, I agree with, which is, okay, introduction, sure, fine.
Vision goals.
Vision goals, fine. Then let's not go right to economic
Right.
development, let's go to land use.
Do you want to do
And
land
natural-
or people stuff first?
That makes sense.
Probably
The order-
land.
The order change makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so
So
land
you don't
stuff
want a
first?
copy of this?
I have my town plan here.
What people
I
stuff?
already got
You
it.
have it
You mean
memorized?
9?
I got it,
Which number, 9?
Where? I'm just saying people, things have to do with people, but maybe we do all the land stuff first. The
I feel like
use,
land, I feel like,
The natural resources.
let's make chapter 4 be chapter 3. Let's make chapter 5 be chapter 4.
Do you mind if we just like, not to change what you're doing, but if we just like do a broader thing first? Like
Sure.
divide it to people stuff and then land stuff? 'Cause then
Sure,
we might want to reorder those.
Maybe,
sure.
maybe. maybe, you know what, I can tell that this is your thing.
Switching
I
names.
can tell this is your
Numbers.
thing. You sure you don't wanna take this home and bring it back to the next meeting
No.
and make some suggestions for
Everybody,
us?
I want everyone's input.
I can tell
Why, do I
it's.
seem excited?
No, yes, it's your thing. You
have a-
gravitated right to it and
Because-
you clearly have an
English major.
understanding.
Because an
of-
English major
Yes,
knows
there's
how
an
to do an
English major
outline
here.
and knows how to do
I
a
am
topic
not.
sentence, right?
Yes,
I know, I'm such a nerd.
like,
No, it's good. I think that's good. And you could call me and be like, what do you think of this? And I'll
Yeah.
be like, no. And
Yeah.
then we can fight it out.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
all right, so what do you think about that? What do you think
It's up
about
to the
you
rest of the
just-
board.
what-
I don't
I mean,
mind, but
I'm
Yeah, I think
totally
Deb
good.
wanted
I'll second
I
that
think Deb
idea.
wants to give some input.
Nope, I'm fine. I'm done.
I'll be Jim.
Yeah. Good.
I am not, for the record, I am not going for ice cream.
It's,
My sister's visiting though.
it's just a,
Oh, yeah. How's the puppy?
Well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
She loves
Some
hate.
kind of sad.
I went
She's
to
just
a
a
concert
nipper.
last night and I didn't even call you because like.
Where did you go?
Because
I
you've
have
got a new puppy. I
Well,
really
I
wanted
have
to
a
call
husband
you, but you
still.
You know, I almost called you and
Should
said,
have.
oh, I'll just stay home and baby.
Was that for all that?
I would've. I would've gone.
Where did you go?
Down to Studio 9.
All
I
right.
just want to take it back home.
Motion to adjourn at 8:44.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
And next meeting is,
27th, I think.
the 27th at 6 PM.
That's very
Make
good.
sure we get this right.